Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to another Q&A video. This one is long overdue. I should have did one quite a while ago. I'm going to start doing them more consistently, but let's look at the questions we got in the last Q&A video and get you some answers. So first up, we got Noah Gonzalez, who says, what are the top 5 junglers right now? So I would say one of them is Talia. Now she is kind of like a new pick in jungle. She's kind of weird to see there, but she's working really well right now, and she would be one of them, I believe. Two other ones that have been consistently in the top 5 lately would be Udyr and Warwick. They're two of the better duelist junglers out there. They can easily fight over that first scuttle crab, so they're really strong in this meta. The last two picks here are a little bit more questionable, but I would probably say Wukong and Shaco, at least in solo queue. They both have some really strong ganks. They're also relatively good in the early game as well and can definitely contest those early scuttles, and they can definitely snowball and carry games. Of course, champions like Xin Zhao and Nunu, even Nocturne are also really strong right now, so they could easily fit into some people's top 5 lists, but those 5 are definitely the ones I feel are the best. For the next question, Excel asks, what do you think of the new Irelia rework? She's definitely a champion that requires more skill than before. Now, before you kind of just jumped in and activated your W and started auto-attacking, but there's definitely a lot more to her now. She can now also be consistently found in the top 10 list of mid laners and top laners, so she is a very strong champion right now. She's a lot more fun to play, and she definitely has a place in this meta. Next here we have Zachary Chung, who asks, how often do you play ARAM? I'm not somebody that plays a lot of ARAM, but I must admit the Bilgewater kind of ARAM is actually pretty fun, so I have been playing that every now and again, but usually I don't really touch ARAM too much. If I am in a situation where I don't really have enough time for a game and I'm really feeling like playing League, then of course I will play ARAM because it is much quicker, but other than that, I don't touch it too much. Next, Gasol says, I heard that LeBlanc has a really hard mechanic and very hard to master. What's your advice for a beginner LeBlanc? So yeah, LeBlanc is definitely not a top tier mid laner right now. She is very fun to play and she can instantly burst targets, but she is definitely not the strongest mid laner in the meta. She does take a lot more skill than a lot of the mid laners out there. She does have some pretty damn hard matchups, so you do have to play quite a bit of LeBlanc to actually get really good with her. All I can really suggest is she is one of those champions you have to spam a lot in solo queue and learn matchups, so that's pretty much all you have to do. Play a lot of LeBlanc and you will get there. Next here, Alex BHD says, if I am playing a mage like Twisted Fate, how can I beat an assassin like Fizz? So yeah, not gonna lie, that's gonna be hard for a lot of mages out there. Fizz is kind of specifically designed to just destroy long-range mages that do die really quickly, so you're kind of screwed in some scenarios. If you are a champion that really struggles against Fizz, and you feel like the Fizz player you are against is pretty decent, then you may want to consider rushing a Banshee's Veil. That item is really strong against Fizz because of course he can't land his ultimate from that really long range if you do have your Banshees on top of you. Other than that, just of course make sure you keep your distance from Fizz and dodge that ultimate because if it lands, you are screwed. Next up we have the Know Him, who says, since you have been playing League since the release, tell us how you think the community has changed since the beginning to now. So I would say in the beginning, League was a lot more fun than it is now because a lot of people didn't really know what they were doing, so they would pick all sorts of weird shit, and it was pretty fun of a game. Now you've kind of got a community of elitists, and they're all toxic, and everybody's yelling at each other, and the community is definitely not as friendly as it was back in the day. I mean, it's still a fun game, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be playing it, but compared to the beginning, yeah, not really so much. Now if you dare to pick something that's kind of off meta, if it doesn't work, you got 4 people screaming at you, and usually you get spam reported. Now for the next question, SebjoeTD47 says, how is Warwick in this meta? It's my main jungle, and I'm pretty good with him, but sometimes I think he has a lot of counters. Now to be honest, I would say Warwick has a lot more favorable matchups than hard ones. He is a very strong champion in this meta. He's great at all stages of the game, he has some really strong crowd control, he can duel pretty much anybody in the game as well, and he can counter jungle, he can pick up early dragons. Warwick is a champion that can kind of do whatever the hell he wants. Therefore, if you are a Warwick player, I would just keep playing him over and over again. He's a great champion to climb up for the elos with, and he's just all around a really solid pick. For the next question here, Steph Ormeling says, is Darius a good top laner? So at the moment, I would say he's pretty much a mid-tier top laner. In the lower elos, I would say he's a lot stronger because you can bully the absolute crap out of pretty much anybody in that top lane, but he does kind of get worse as you climb up the ladder. Either way though, as long as you are somewhere between bronze and gold, he is a very strong champion to abuse in the top lane and easily get yourself some elo. As I said, he's not a top tier pick right now, but he is very viable, and if you do play Darius, it's pretty much just gotta be in the top lane. Now we have got League of Lug, who says, will you ever stream? I would love to watch that. Now, I used to stream here and there. I still kind of do whenever I do feel like it. I don't have a consistent streaming schedule because, honestly, I do prefer making YouTube videos over streaming, but I might get back into it. I do have a Twitch channel that I did link in the video description, so if you do want to head over there and hit me with a follow, that would be really awesome of you. I'm not going to really say when I'm going to stream next, just kind of when I do feel like it. Maybe I will kind of come up with a schedule and stick to it. But as of right now, I kind of just do it whenever I feel like it, and other than that, I just kind of make videos. For the next question here, Rawwick says, what do you think is better, Evelynn, Olaf, or Jarvan? Who is the best of this three to climb elo? Now, all three of these champions are pretty much mid-tier champions. None of them are incredibly strong, but they're not shitty either. If I did have to pick one of them for this current meta, I would probably go with Evelynn. Her camouflage and her ganks are of course really strong. People don't really expect Evelynn, and in the lower elos you will find yourself getting some really easy kills, and you can snowball rather easily as well. Olaf and Jarvan are pretty decent picks as well, but in my opinion not as strong as Evelynn. Next here, Ernest Van Rossum asks, even though Trundle isn't meta, I love playing him top. So my question is, should I get Blade of the Ruined King first, or Ravenous Hydra, or even Trinity? Now, I would agree that top lane Trundle is definitely not meta right now, but he's actually really strong in the jungle. But since of course your question is for top lane Trundle, I will of course answer that. Now, as for top lane Trundle, I would pretty much always go for a Trinity Force first, unless you are against a very tanky lineup. In that scenario, obviously you will want to go for the Blade of the Ruined King first, but other than that, you will want to go for Trinity Force. It works great with Trundle's bite ability and can make you output a ton of damage. For the next question, Axiom says, is Shen a viable pick for top lane? Any pointers for playing Shen? And great content, keep it up, Noxro. Now, Shen of course is a viable pick in the top lane. He's probably a mid-tier champion, I would say, but he is really strong in certain situations. Against very auto-attack heavy champions like say Master Yi or Tryndamere, Shen is a very strong pick because that shield you can create is actually really strong in those situations. Of course, if you are somebody that's really strong at split pushing, Shen is one of the best champions you can pick up because he can split push throughout the entire game and still join with his ultimate. He's not an insanely strong pick at the moment, but Shen definitely has his place. Next here, the Scorch says, I know from your videos you are a jungle main. I was wondering your thoughts on Camille in the jungle, can it carry? So as of recently, Camille has become a very popular pick. Usually it is in the top lane, but she's also a pretty strong jungler. Your ganks on Camille are very strong because of course you have your ultimate to hold the target in the area, and as long as the laner you're ganking with is going up for the fights as well, you will get yourself some really easy kills. Camille of course is a champion that can output a ton of damage when you do get your Trinity Force, so she is a champion that can easily carry games if you do start snowballing. If you're looking for a new strong jungler to start playing, Camille is definitely a viable pick. Next here, DJ Coolest says, I main jungle and I can't find a jungler to carry with. Any advice? By the way, love your videos. So how conveniently have I placed this question? You may want to consider playing Camille. As I said, you will be able to carry games, you can output a lot of damage, and you have insanely strong ganks. If Camille is a champion you don't really want to consider playing, then you would want to go with something like Udyr or Warwick. They are very strong duelists, and they're great in the early game and can get those early scuttles, so they are very strong in this meta. Learn Magic Trick says, what role do you main and what was your first main champion? So as a couple people have mentioned already, I am definitely a jungler main. I do play a lot of AD carry as well, but I would consider myself a jungle main. Now as for my first main champions, back in Season 1, I was a Nunu and Taric main. Whenever I played in the jungle, I would play Nunu, and whenever I played support, I would play Taric. And for the last question here, Weasel says, what is the most underestimated champion in your opinion? Mine is Karthus. So mine's probably going to be a little weird, but I would say Fiddlesticks. He's a pretty decent jungler because his ganks are fairly strong and his team fights even stronger, and as a support, he is one of the most irritating things you can fight. That annoying bouncing ability that does a lot of damage throughout the lane phase and that 80-year-long fear are incredibly annoying to deal with, and I think Fiddlesticks is actually a pretty strong champion and definitely overlooked. But that, ladies and gentlemen, covers everything I've got for this Q&A video. If you guys do have any questions that you would like answered, please leave them down in the comments section. I will make sure to get to those for the next Q&A. Also, I do have all my links down in the video description as well, so make sure you guys do check those out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it, so take it easy, have a good day, and peace.